Hello, and welcome back to week 8 of the 50 book challenge. Back home, I got some fancy LED lights today, and today we're going to be looking at Sleep Smarter by Shawn Stevenson. Back in September, I read a book called Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. It took a deep dive into the neuroscience behind dreams, sleep cycles, and other functions of the human brain. It also transformed my view about sleep, as I became aware of the profound benefits it gives us. The book we'll be reviewing today, Sleep Smarter, provides a more digestible and practical read, taking the complicated neuroscience topics and explaining them in layman's terms. I'll point out my key takeaways from the book and state whether I recommend you read this book or not. Keep watching to find out how reframing your view of sleep can permanently alter your life for the better. Throughout the book, Stevenson talks about the importance of nutrition, exercise, and sleep. We'll explore nutrition a bit later on, but in regards to exercise, he states, it's really about movement, not just exercise. Exercise is something people tend to do for maybe an hour a day, but then what about the other 23 hours? People who exercise for an hour a day are only 4% more active than people who don't exercise at all. Sure, that 4% matters, but deciding to live a life of movement and health isn't optional today. It's something that your genes expect you to do. He mentions how sleep is the force multiplier, which magnifies the results you get from your food and movement. Let's look at sleep then. As it stands, 60% of people in the United States say that they have difficulty sleeping every night, or at least every other night. Sleep loss is a common condition in developed countries overall. Evidence shows that people in Western countries are sleeping on average 1.5 to 2 full hours per night less than we did just a century ago. It has become a chronic issue that somehow we have forgotten how to do something that should come completely naturally to us as human beings. With sleep being a natural function of virtually every living thing on the planet, we've ended up in an unusual situation where people are struggling to do the thing that is responsible for our life force. However, this serves as a reminder that if you are struggling, you are not alone. It is possible to improve your sleep quality, and many others are working alongside you to implement this change. What's more important is knowing the big prizes that sleep gives you. Generally, being awake is catabolic, breaks you down, and being asleep is anabolic, builds you up. Sleep is known to be an elevated anabolic state, heightening the growth and rejuvenation of the immune, skeletal, and muscular systems. Basically, sleep rebuilds you and keeps you youthful. When you're awake, your body's being broken down. Sleep is the time at which your body is growing and repairing itself. Another way to understand this is thinking about lifting weights at the gym. After your workout session, you're actually weaker than you were before. Your muscle fibers have become broken down and your body is damaged. You've gone into the gym, done a workout, and come out weaker. This is because the time when your body actually grows and becomes stronger is when you're resting. If you don't sleep enough, you might never achieve the body you want, no matter how much you work out. This is the same for your brain, as you are not giving your brain the opportunity to grow, consolidate memories, or clear out the waste products within it. This is just the beginning of the numerous benefits sleep can provide us with. Stevenson provides some starting advice for changing our approach to sleep. When you know you have a big task, project, or event coming up, pull out a calendar and plan ahead how you can get your ideal number of sleep hours in. Oftentimes, it's as simple as setting up a schedule, but people overlook it because, well, it's just too easy. Scheduling your sleep in advance can enable you to get the maximum number of sleep hours available. By sticking to this schedule as well as you can, you'll be able to get your work done faster and better since you're more rested. Scheduling also allows you to focus better. We all know the feeling when you realize you've forgotten an assignment or you're rushing to complete it just before the deadline. Thoughts cloud your head about how you're going to get it done in time, what the consequences will be, among many other things. Scheduling prevents this and it allows you to stay focused on the task at hand. Start to think of sleep as an incredible indulgence, like a sensuous dessert, a relaxing massage, a hot date with someone special, or something else that you really look forward to. Viewing sleep as a special event or treat to yourself rather than an obstacle that you work around can help you fall in love with the process. Understanding that sleep is fundamental for your brain function can help you to value it more, especially in a society that prioritizes productivity. Many people sacrifice sleep to work more, but this reduces the quality and speed of their work. Look forward to sleeping instead of dreading it. Next, we need to look at the impact of artificial light. In his book, The Mind-Body Mood Solution, clinical psychologist Jeffrey Rossman, PhD, states that many of us are not aware that we are light deprived and suffering from the effects of light deprivation. Because of our eyes' extraordinary ability to adapt to changes in brightness, we tend not to be aware of how little light we actually receive when we're indoors. Typical indoor lighting is 100 times less bright than outdoor light on a sunny day. Even a cloudy day delivers 10 times more brightness than ordinary indoor lighting. With the invention of artificial light, we have effectively managed to make it daytime, 24 hours a day. There is no longer a visible separation between day and night when we're inside a room. Although this enables people to work night shifts and get more done in the winter months, this artificial lighting comes with grave consequences. A recent study that focused on the sleep quality of day shift office workers revealed some shocking results. When compared to office workers who have direct access to windows at work, those office workers who didn't have access to windows got 173% less exposure to natural light, and as a result, slept an average of 46 minutes less each night. This sleep deficit resulted in more reported physical ailments, lower vitality, and poorer sleep quality. Sunlight helps to establish the circadian rhythm, and not getting enough of it can throw your sleep schedule out of order. Not only does this make it harder for us to fall asleep, it also reduces the quality of our sleep when we do eventually drift off. Stevenson's simple solution to this problem is to get more sunlight. Even in the winter months or overcast days, the light outside remains significantly brighter than the lighting indoors. Our eyes adjust to allow more light in when we're in a darker environment, and as a result, this creates the illusion that the light we're getting inside is bright enough for us. Unfortunately, this isn't the reality. You can take 10 or 15-minute breaks outside or near a window. You can even eat your lunch or have meetings outside to maximize your sunlight exposure. He also advises not wearing sunglasses if you can avoid it. Sunglasses inhibit the natural exposure of light you need to assure healthy hormonal secretions and healthy sleep. Additionally, if the sunglasses don't have proper UV protection, it can actually be harmful. The sunglasses create artificial darkness over your eyes, which results in your pupils widening to allow more light in. This prevents your body from using its natural protective mechanism and allows in even more potentially harmful UV light. Did you know that your skin actually has receptors that can pick up light? These photoreceptors are similar to those found in your retina, so your skin can literally see. Researchers at Brown University discovered that skin cells also make rhodopsin, a light-sensitive chemical found in the retina. If there's light in your bedroom, your body's picking it up and sending messages to your brain and organs that can interfere with your sleep. Out of everything I read in this book, this fact was the most surprising and impactful to me. In hindsight, it seems fairly obvious that our skin can pick up light, as it literally darkens when we're in the sun, but I just never thought about it. We frequently hear advice about getting blackout curtains and blocking the light from outside to create a dark environment in our bedrooms. While this advice is true and it should be followed, we can go a step further and address the troublesome light inside our bedrooms as well. Alarm clocks with illuminated digits can reduce the quality of our sleep. Either cover this alarm clock up at night, or replace it with a dimmable one that you can turn down at night to ensure you get the high quality sleep that you deserve. Another interesting bit of research mentioned in the book goes as follows. Researchers from the Shy Eye Institute at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia discovered that even a simple nightlight could contribute to myopia in children and lead to significant vision problems later in life. In the study, 479 children under the age of 2 were put into one of 3 categories: sleeps in A, total darkness, B, with a nightlight on, or C, with a room light on. The results were shocking. The researchers found that 10% of children who slept in the dark ended up being nearsighted, while 34% of the children who slept with a nightlight and 55% of the children who slept in a lightened room developed nearsightedness. Though the study didn't account for every variable possible, it's definitely something to consider. This isn't just important for us as adults, it's also important if you have children and grandchildren. This further demonstrates the importance of eliminating light from our rooms, not only for the quality of our sleep, but also for our developmental health. Stevenson also stresses the importance of avoiding screens before bed. He states that, It's important to remember that our cultural use of these electronic devices has been possible for only a few short decades, first with the advent of television, and then really exploding with the invention of laptops, tablets, and smartphones more recently. Millions of years of evolution versus a couple decades of late-night meandering doesn't favor our ability to adapt to this anytime soon. Stevenson addresses how the reason people struggle with avoiding screens before bed is because we've forgotten what else we can do instead. As a society, we've become so used to using our phones and computers for communication, reading, watching movies, and calling that many of us are unaware of what we could possibly substitute them for. A solution is simply to read a physical book. My personal tip is that you can also use a Kindle or other e-reader, but you must ensure that the backlighting is turned off. Using a phone, tablet, or laptop won't work as it has backlighting that interferes with your body's circadian rhythm. Ultimately, keep it simple. Pick up a book and start reading. Other activities involve meditating, talking to friends or your significant other in person, or simply journaling. To make this as easy as possible, eliminate any cues that might distract you. Put your phone in another room, empty your bedroom of all technology, unplug the TV, and put a book next to your bed so it's easy to grab. In the case where you absolutely must use a device for whatever reason it might be, for example work or last-minute revision, use a blue light blocker. There are various apps that provide this function that you can search for. Additionally, you can also purchase blue light blocking glasses. Have a caffeine curfew. Stevenson mentioned something that surprised me. Using the 8-hour half-life as an example, if you consume 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is equivalent to about 1 or 2 cups of standard coffee, after 8 hours you'd have half of it, or 100 milligrams, active in your system. After another 8 hours you'd have 50 milligrams. After another 8 hours it would be 25 milligrams, and so on. This is why having caffeine even 6 hours out from bedtime still caused sleep disturbances in the study. I was unaware of how long caffeine actually remains in your system. I personally don't drink coffee, so this wasn't of much use to me, but with the amount of people who rely on caffeine to get things done, this is valuable knowledge. I'll quickly explain how caffeine works and why we have caffeine crashes. From the moment you wake up, your brain is constantly producing a chemical called adenosine. This adenosine dictates what we call sleep pressure. The more adenosine you have in your system, the more tired you feel. When you sleep, your body removes this adenosine, which allows you to wake up feeling refreshed. However, when you drink caffeine, it essentially hides this adenosine buildup from your brain, so it's unaware that it's actually building up. As a result, you feel wide awake and you're able to keep working, despite previously having felt tired. During this time, however, the adenosine continues to build up, and when the caffeine in your body starts to leave your system, your body is suddenly hit with this wave of adenosine, causing a caffeine crash. With caffeine lasting so long in your system, it's important to only consume it at reasonable times to allow your body to sleep with minimal disturbance. Despite this, Stevenson still acknowledges the benefits that caffeine use can provide. He mentions how it can be used to strategically enhance metabolism, increase alertness and focus, and even improve liver function if used in the right way. However, our body downregulates its response to caffeine over time. We can then apply 3 cycles of caffeine use to maximize the effects it provides. 1. Go 2 days on and 3 days off. If you're a healthy, non-addicted person using caffeine, it can be cleared from your system nicely after 3 days. When you have it again, you'll notice the same benefits as you did during the initial days you used it. Go 2 months on, 1 month off. This is reasonable if you're using a small to moderate amount of caffeine daily, 200 milligrams or less, as in a cup or 2 of black coffee or tea, or a pre-workout supplement. Using more caffeine than this can lead to withdrawal symptoms for the first few days after discontinued use. 3. Go full on as needed. This is where the magical when we first met experience can happen with coffee and caffeine. On most days, ignore it. Live your life normally, without caffeine. But when you need it, go full on into your love affair. Now, when I say you need it, I'm talking about when you have a performance, a big project, or something that is really important, but short in duration, so your indulgence won't be more than a couple of days. Use caffeine as a boost, not a crutch, and you'll be able to truly enjoy its benefits while still sleeping like a champion. There's a phenomenon called the second wind that many people might experience when staying up late at night. Stevenson writes how, around 10 p.m., your body goes through a transformation following the natural rise in melatonin. The purpose of this transformation is to increase internal metabolic energy to repair, strengthen, and rejuvenate your body. Heightened production of antioxidant hormones happens at this time to help protect your DNA from damage, improve your brain function, and more. If you're asleep as normal during this phase, all is well. However, if you're up when 10 p.m. rolls around, that increase in metabolic energy can be experienced as a second wind. You can probably recall a time when you were feeling sleepy around 7 or 8 p.m., you begin to get ready for bed, and then suddenly at 10 p.m., when you're just about to climb into bed, you suddenly feel energized again. However, for many of us, instead of this sudden burst of energy being used by our bodies to repair our bodies, clear waste products out of our brains, and prepare us for the next day, we use it to scroll through social media and watch more Netflix shows. Stevenson suggests going to bed anywhere between 9 and 11 p.m. most of the year. It varies slightly based on time zones, daylight saving time, and various other factors, but the guideline of bedtime between 9 and 11 p.m. enables your body to be best suited for rejuvenation, and you'll wake up feeling more rested. Another tip for waking up feeling energized is to structure your sleep by 90-minute blocks. Essentially what this means is to sleep for a multiple of 90 minutes. Instead of sleeping for 8 hours, sleep for 7.5 hours, or push for a whole 9 hours of sleep instead. As sleep cycles typically last for 90 minutes, sleeping for 7 hours or 9 hours ensures that you wake up at the end of a sleep cycle when your body is in a lighter sleep stage. If you wake up while you're in a deep sleep, you'll feel groggy and lethargic. Next time you're getting less sleep than intended, figure out a multiple of 90 minutes and set your alarm for that time. 6 hours of sleep will have you feeling more energized than 6.5 hours. As for nutrition, Stevenson states that magnesium deficiency is likely the #1 mineral deficiency in our world today. Estimates show that upwards of 80% of the population in the United States is deficient in magnesium, and some experts say that these numbers are actually conservative. Chances are you're not getting enough magnesium into your system, and getting your magnesium levels up can almost instantly reduce your body's stress load and improve the quality of your sleep. The reason for this magnesium deficiency is because our body uses it for so many functions: balancing blood sugar, optimizing circulation and blood pressure, relaxing tense muscles, reducing pain, and calming the nervous system. Living in a high-stress world, we're becoming more deficient of magnesium. However, taking magnesium supplements may not be the best way to increase our magnesium levels, as research has shown that a large percentage of magnesium is lost in the digestive process. Stevenson recommends making use of a topical magnesium that can be absorbed transdermally, meaning through the skin. I haven't looked into this yet, but he advises rubbing this topical magnesium onto your skin and claims that it has significantly improved his sleep quality. If you're wanting to improve your nutrition and sleep quality, maybe try giving this a go. We already discussed limiting distractions in the bedroom, but let's have a look at some more impacts of sleeping with our phones next to our beds. Researchers at Loughborough University's Sleep Research Centre in Leicestershire, England, set out to test the impact of cell phone radiation on the human brain. In the study, they strapped cell phones to the heads of study participants and monitored their brainwaves by EEG, while the phone was switched on and off by a remote computer. The experiment revealed that after the phone was switched to talk mode, as if you were on a call, brainwave patterns called delta waves remained depressed for more than 1 hour after the phone was turned off. These delta brainwaves are the most reliable marker of deep sleep. A significant portion of your sleep consists of this stage, and interference with it will have a noticeable effect on sleep efficiency, which is exactly what the researchers observed. When the test subjects were allowed to go to sleep, they ended up remaining awake twice as long after the phone was shut off. They could not fall into deeper levels of sleep for nearly 1 full hour after the cell phone radiation stopped playing hide-and-go-seek with their brainwaves. Another study published in Radiation Protection Dosimetry found that melatonin secretion is significantly disrupted by exposure to electromagnetic fields. The study's authors concluded that it would be in our best interest if we limit our exposure even to weak EMFs. As you know, melatonin is not just a critical hormone for regulating our sleep, it's also an important anti-cancer hormone. With consistent exposure to EMFs, our body's melatonin production can be thrown out of whack. It's important to realize that Wi-Fi and various forms of radio waves are extremely new forms of energy that we humans have been playing around with. We know that the human body is extremely conductive, and because it's been such a short time since we've had this form of technology, we still don't know the long-term impact of creating a giant Wi-Fi umbrella around the world. While we want to avoid spreading conspiracy theories and creating moral panic, it's worth keeping in mind that we aren't yet aware of the long-term consequences of the very new technology that we're using daily. We're already finding out that it's impacting our sleep cycles, making it harder for us to sleep, and interfering with our hormones. The moral of the story here: don't keep cell phones around your body needlessly, and communicate this to the young people in your life as well. And, knowing these effects, why in the world would you sleep with your cell phone near you all night long? People hang on to their phones and electronic devices like they are their best friends in the world. They act like they're going to fall over and die if they don't have their cell phones within texting distance. Trust me, you'll live. And if you don't pay attention to this, all the rest of your years aren't going to be very fun. Get the electronics out of your bedroom. If sleep is important to you, then you'll do this. If being healthy and not having a chronic disease is important to you, then you'll do this. Television, laptops, cell phones, all of these things are kicking out radiation that's disrupting your sleep. Have your entertainment in the entertainment area of your home. Keep your bedroom reserved for sleep and sex. Stevenson takes a quick detour to tackle the issue with the weight loss industry. That's what I found to be the biggest problem when it comes to weight loss. There's a serious lack of honest, safe, and effective information. You have to understand that the weight loss industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it doesn't work well if there aren't lots of people struggling to figure this stuff out. By using the backwards methods taught by many health gurus, the majority of people lose the weight and then they proceed to find it again. They work so hard to get the results they want, then eventually put the weight back on, and oftentimes a little bit more than they started with. In order for the weight loss industry to survive, the advice it provides is sometimes ineffective or dishonest. Somebody may work hard to diet and lose weight, but as soon as the weight is off, they go back to their old habits and the weight returns. A lot of the advice isn't sustainable, but if it was, the weight loss industry would have no customers returning. Stevenson provides some advice. Your muscle is your body's fat-burning machinery, and if you lose it through dieting, you'll depress your metabolism and set yourself up for a long-term weight gain. The problem is that people are thinking in terms of weight loss instead of body fat loss. You don't want to lose weight, you want to lose fat. Remember, when it comes to this, it's all about the hormones. To shift your body into more of a fat-burning state, you need to put more of your focus on the other two macronutrient groups, protein and fat. By cutting calories, your body will lose some of its muscle mass alongside the fat that you lose. Since muscle is what burns fat, this reduction in muscle will cause you to ultimately burn less fat, meaning that dieting isn't a realistic goal for many people. Instead, eating more protein and fat instead of carbohydrates can affect your hormones, setting your body up to burn more fat. Insulin reacts to carbohydrates, meaning that eating more carbs results in your body producing more insulin. Insulin is your body's major fat-storing hormone. Therefore, swapping some of our carbohydrates out for protein or fat can help reduce our overall body fat without needing to actually lose weight. While we're on the topic of consumption, let's have a look at the impact of alcohol on your sleep. Fun fact, you actually get smarter when you sleep. There's a function called memory processing that takes place when we sleep, working to convert short-term memories and experiences into long-term memories. This memory processing predominantly takes place during REM sleep. Studies have proven the good news about drinking alcohol late in the evening is that you do indeed fall asleep faster. But the bad news is that REM sleep is significantly disrupted by alcohol being in your system. You won't be able to fall into deeper, consistent levels of REM sleep, and your brain and body won't be able to fully rejuvenate. Stevenson provides a diagram to show the comparison between healthy and alcohol-related sleep patterns. As we can see, alcohol-related sleep patterns initially remain in a deeper stage of sleep, but eventually become more shallow. At the start and end, both stages miss the valuable REM sleep that we need for memory processing. This explains why people might not remember their night out after waking up with a hangover. Their brain is unable to consolidate the memory, and therefore they cannot recall the events that took place. I found this particularly interesting, as I never put much thought into why people don't remember their nights out after drinking. Let's now turn our focus to the concept of breathing. Stevenson acknowledges the immense value that breathing provides. Next week's book review is all about breathing, so subscribe and keep a lookout for the video, where I'll address all these benefits in more detail. For now, let's look at what he has to say. We have an autopilot that operates our breathing, but at any time we can jump in and grab the controls. We can make our breathing deeper, more shallow, faster, slower, and variations of it all. We can consciously control our breathing, but why? Evolutionarily speaking, it's to our advantage because our temporary perception doesn't always equal our reality. It's interesting how we can manually breathe and blink, but we can't manually beat our heart. It suggests that there must be some purpose of this manual control. For example, sleeping, increasing our rate of breathing, or holding our breath. It seems obvious that breathing is an automatic task, but not many people think about how we can take advantage of our manual breathing. Stevenson provides a breathing exercise. Give it a go now, or note it down so you can try it later. To regain your ability to breathe like a pro, try this. Sit up straight in a comfortable position, with your head facing forward and your shoulders relaxed. You can close your eyes if you like, but it's not necessary. Place one hand on your belly and rest the other hand on your lap. Now, on your first inhale, you're going to think about filling your belly and lungs with air from the bottom up, like pouring water into a container. Keeping your shoulders relaxed, breathe in deeply through your nose, filling your belly with air as you feel it expanding right in your hand. Fill your lungs to the very tip top, while keeping your shoulders relaxed. Then, hold all of that energizing air in for 2 seconds. Now, breathe out through your nose as you empty your belly and lungs of every drop of air. You can feel your belly collapsing right under your hand. Get out every drop and be empty so that you can be filled again with something better. Hold everything out for a count of 2. Now, again, take a deep breath in, filling your belly and lungs with air from the bottom up, like pouring water into a container. Repeat all steps for 5 complete rounds of deep inhales and exhales and see how you feel. This breathing exercise should provide you with some relaxation, temporarily taking your mind away from the sources of stress in your life and allowing you to focus on your breathing. Another valuable approach to reducing stress is practicing mindfulness meditation. You can turn just about anything into a sensory-filled mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness is really about noticing and tuning into things in the here and now. While walking, you can notice the feel of the ground under your feet, or even breathe deeply, syncing your breath with your steps. You can tune in and be more mindful when you're eating, while you're talking to a friend, instead of thinking about what you're going to say, actually fully and completely listen to them. While taking a shower or a bath, while exercising, while having sex, while cleaning the house, and on and on. The main benefit of mindfulness meditation is the ability to focus. By practicing your ability to focus by paying attention to small things in your day-to-day life and temporarily dismissing all the other thoughts in your mind, you prepare yourself for when you really need this focus. Now, when you're lying in bed and your thoughts are racing, you can slow these thoughts down and focus on one thing, whether that be relaxing your muscles or focusing on your breath, which will help you fall asleep faster. Stevenson ends the book with the tip that getting grounded can help minimize jet lag. Because grounding has been proven to sync your body's circadian clock with the normal diurnal patterns of the Earth, getting grounded after a flight is a smart thing to do. I've found that this practice virtually eliminates jet lag and helps me to adjust to a new time zone a lot faster. Humans were not designed to skip time zones in a few hours, so utilizing advances like this can really help to revitalize you. If at all possible, I get some direct vitamin G from the Earth after travel. If you have the opportunity to make contact with the Earth, whether that be walking barefoot in the garden, running on the beach, or climbing a tree, give it a go, as it will help to sync your circadian rhythm with the normal diurnal patterns of the Earth. The book ends with an impressively comprehensive 14-day sleep makeover activity. It essentially acts as a journal for the next 14 days, while Stevenson provides you with tips on how to progressively integrate the knowledge you learned in the book into your daily routine. I haven't taken advantage of it yet, as I've been moving back home, and so my sleep schedule and daily routine are a little bit all over the place, but it's something I'm going to try out. I've already made some small adjustments while reading the book that I'll expand on while addressing my thoughts on the book. Stevenson provides some advice about implementing new behaviors into your life. Your brain loves to fall into patterns so that it can free up space to do other things. The more unconscious competencies we have, the more apt we are to have greater success and productivity. What is an unconscious competency? Well, there are ultimately 4 stages to learning any new skill or habit. 1. Unconscious incompetence. When you're doing something wrong and you don't know you're doing it wrong. 2. Conscious incompetence. When you're doing something wrong and you know you're doing it wrong. 3. Conscious competence. When you're doing something right, but you have to consciously focus on doing it the right way. 4. Unconscious competence. When you're doing something right and you don't even have to think about it. Now that you're aware of the behaviors you need to implement, you've passed stage 1, and you're on to stage 2. The next step is to enter stage 3, conscious competence, where you're actively implementing these adjustments into your life. After a certain amount of time, you'll enter stage 4, and these behaviors will now be a habit that you no longer need to think about. At that point, you can enjoy the amazing benefits that come from your newly reformed sleep routine. Happy sleeping. So, for my thoughts about the book, since reading the book, I've worked to eliminate almost all sources of light from my room. I used to sleep in quite a lit up room with lights from my wall plugs, devices, and stuff around me, and I was under the impression that I could simply put a face mask on and it would just block out all the light, and I'm still experimenting to see if I can notice a difference, but it certainly feels better already. I used to sleep with my phone charging next to my bed, but since reading this book I've moved it across the room, so it's now at my desk when I'm sleeping in my bed. I'm not sure if this actually does make any difference because it's hard to tell in the short term, but I gain nothing from having my phone next to my bed, so I feel like I might as well move it just to be safe. And it also makes me less likely to use it, which is another advantage. I eat toast for breakfast every morning, which is high carbs and not really much of anything else. So I'd like to look into changing my meal order slightly to ensure that I'm getting more protein in the morning instead of high carbs to see if it makes a change to my energy levels. Although I usually do my work in the morning before eating, so it doesn't seem like it would make that much of a difference to my actual work. Although perhaps eating more carbs at night could actually be beneficial to my sleep, so something I want to look into is swapping my meals around, where I have my dinner meals in the morning and my normal breakfast for dinner. It's something I'll need to consider more deeply, as my dinner meals usually take a lot more time, but I also just enjoy making them, and making it first thing in the morning doesn't sound as fun. Stevenson mentioned how people who slept with the lights on as children had a higher chance of developing myopia, and I have myopia, and I used to sleep with the lights fully on as a child because I was scared of the dark. And of course this doesn't mean that was the cause, but it's interesting to see that I fall into this category. Also, I used to take melatonin every night for several years, like this little tub of, I originally started with 1 milligram of melatonin and eventually went up to 10 milligrams. And yeah, my body became dependent on it. And so during quarantine, I made an effort to quit and I struggled to sleep every night, but I eventually got off of it and I'm no longer reliant on that. As melatonin is a hormone, my body ended up producing less of it since I was receiving it externally. Using other sleep aids like chamomile tea, for example, may be a healthier alternative to melatonin tablets, as your body won't become dependent on them, they simply just assist it in sleeping. This book provides a bunch of valuable information, but some of it just isn't possible for me to implement right now. And of course, I simply just take the advice that I can, and I put the rest on hold, but it feels as if this book was designed for adults who have a decent amount of disposable income. For example, there are many products that Stevenson suggests you could purchase, such as special bedding, blue light blocking glasses, blackout curtains, topical magnesium, as well as getting a massage at least once a month. Regardless, it's important to make this information clear so that the people who can afford it can take advantage of it, and the others who can't yet can keep it in mind for the future. This video serves the purpose of simply giving my thoughts on the book, providing a discussion of the points I found to be most intriguing, and letting you know whether the book is worth reading yourself. I highly recommend getting a copy of this book, because a summary doesn't provide the same function. Of course, knowing how to improve the quality of your sleep is useful, but I think most people already know this, and it's something we talk about so frequently now. It's the implementation that's important, and reading a longer book that slowly walks you through it allows you to firstly think about the process more, but also provides you with small actionable steps you can take along the way. A condensed summary might feel too overwhelming to implement straight away, as there are so many steps with minimal guidance. In summary, read the book yourself. It'll change your view on sleep. I was back at home with my family recently, and we have a big garden over there, so I went out in the garden and the field barefoot, but it's a bit more difficult for me to do in the city, so the advice about being grounded is a little inconvenient, but I think in the summer I'll go to the park and run barefoot in the grass or something and just see if it makes any difference. This book taught me a lot about sleeping, but for the most part it just reminded me of the importance of sleep. It's easy to get caught up in our day-to-day lives and pass sleep off as an annoyance or something that happens automatically without much thought. But this book encouraged me to put more effort into perfecting my sleep and reaping the benefits of it. The biggest thing for me was being excited to sleep. Viewing sleep as a beautiful opportunity to relax, de-stress, and repair my body gives me the optimism I need to stay consistent, rest well, and wake up the next day feeling excited for the day ahead. Thanks for watching my book review of Sleep Smarter by Shawn Stevenson. Next week, we'll be looking at Breath by James Nestor, so stay tuned for that. See you guys on Monday.